Oh, hello. You caught me emptying the cupboard, ready for the you know what. Give me a chance, I'll come back and see you, and I've got something to tell you, and we'll have a little chit chat. Don't go away. Well, hello everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the Life's Good, AJ's Den, and the cupboard in the corner of the kitchen at the moment, but I have made a decision on the name of what's going to be the new pub. And if you remember from my previous videos, I used to have the pub under the stairs, and I'm now looking at creating a new pub in my new little bungalow home here in Northumberland. Just stopped for a cup of tea. Excuse me. I'm always having a drink when I'm talking to you guys. There's got to be a reason for that, I guess. Anyway, yeah. Apologies for not getting back to you sooner. I made that last video, introduced you to my new little kitchen, my little cupboard and other bits and pieces, and explained where I've been for the best part of a year or more. And since then, with my new job, I had to go to Aberdeen for the best part of a week with work. So that took me away for a while. And then last weekend, I was with a friend of mine and her dogs in Alnwick, which is, what, 22 miles, 23 miles north of here. So again, no chance to get back and do the things I wanted to do or needed to do back here. So today I'm cracking on. I've started emptying this cupboard. Now I've got it empty, so I'm going to lift you off of there and I'm going to show you in here what I'm faced with and give you a few ideas what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start that Evil Dog. It's here actually. The where is it? Turn it around the right way for you. Evil Dog Double IPA. I'm starting that today because I have not had a moment's chance to get this away, and I'm desperate to set this away. And I will be getting some more kits this week as well. So I've got a couple of buckets. I've got 3 kegs. I need to start producing beer to go in what's going to be my new pub in the corner of the kitchen. So I'll talk you through this as well. So give me a moment. I'm going to have my cup of tea and get organised, and I'll explain what's going on here. Cheers. Okay, now I'm holding your free hand, so it's going to be a bit wobbly, so bear with me, but it just gives you a chance to have a quick peep in this cupboard area. As you can see, it's quite a reasonable size. It's over 1 metre wide. It's probably from the door back just under 1 metre, although that narrows at these points here. The walls are all bare. You can see it's had what looks like a fuse box attached to the wall there. It's had all sorts of paint and plaster slapped around in here, and it's got the wiring comes through here for the warden calling system, smoke alarms and other security devices in the home. They break through the ceiling at that point, and there's quite a large lump of plaster been lifted there to get the wiring up through, and then it disperses across the home. So I'd like to tidy up that a little bit. Obviously it went underneath a shelf by the looks of that marking. That's probably where a bracket was on the wall, or a batten to support a shelf. So the wiring I'd like to clean up and put back in that corner and across rather than around the front. The ceiling, apart from that lump there, it's okay. It's all been painted a funny pink colour. It's not very pleasant. There's no architrave on the door framing. It's all very basic. But I'm going to be putting shelves in there, painting the walls, or even papering the walls. I've got some paper left over from another project in the home, so I'll tidy it up. I'll do something with it to clean up the walls, and I'm going to be putting shelves in here, a reasonable size shelf lower down to support the beer kegs, and then a few other shelves further up to use as storage for all sorts of things for myself. So that's the cupboard as it is, blank canvas more or less, and I'll be doing something with that over the coming days. So hopefully you'll see some developments there. And of course the pub is going to need a name, and I have chosen a name. I did say that earlier, so I will be revealing that towards the end of the video. So let's put you back on the tripod, and I wanted to talk to you about the Evil Dog beer kit. Evil Dog Double IPA craft beer kit. Purchased from Amazon. I think this cost me about £26. What do you get in the kit? When you open it, everything you need to make the beer is in here. A little instruction leaflet. If you've never made beer before at home and you buy one of these kits, you can't go far wrong. The instruction leaflet's very straightforward, easy to follow. You don't need lots of expertise and lots of fancy equipment, believe me. A large bucket with a lid, a spoon to stir it up with, a kit, and away you go. That's the start of it. So, instruction leaflet. Few other packets and bits in here. A little packet of yeast. You need yeast. The yeast eats the sugar and produces the alcohol in the liquid. You need yeast to make beer. You also get in here 2 separate sachets of hop pellets. People very often ask me, what do the hops do? Why do you need hops in beer? Well, what are hops? Hops are actually the flowers that are harvested from the hop plant, and they are used for bittering and flowering and for stability in the beer. They can have a variety of flavors. You get different types of hops. You've got 2 in this kit. The first one is Summit, I believe, Summit hop pellets. Now, Summit is very, very bitter, has a very pungent aroma, and can create a sort of a spice flavor or hint of spice to the beer, particularly sort of black pepper, anise sort of hints created by the addition of these hops. The other one here is Simcoe. Now, Simcoe is probably one of the most popular hops to use in home brewing, and this actually will create quite more of a fruit flavor and aroma, particularly citrus. You get a lot of citrus flavor from these Simcoe hops. There are other hops out there. You get all varieties of hops that are beneficial for different reasons. In this particular beer kit, you're getting a slight peppery and fruity flavor, as well as a citrus flavor from the use of these 2 hops. So those come with the kit, and you also get in here, if I can get it out for you, a large collapsible bag of the actual mixture. This is your malt and barley and everything all mixed up with your sugars and so on. This you put in your bucket, you add your water, you add your yeast, and away you go. And then a few days later you add your hops, and a few days after that you siphon it into a keg. It's straightforward. It's so easy. So the first thing we need to do with this is I soften this by putting it into some warm water. So a bowl of warm water in your sink even, sit this in warm water for about 10 minutes or so, open it and pour it into your sterilized bucket. So I'm going to do that today. So let's pop this bag into a sink full of warm water, and that will help to soften that mixture, which makes it easier to pour from that container into your brew bucket. Just before I pour this into the bucket, I wanted to show you in here, if you undo the lid, there's a ring pull, and that's an extra seal inside, so you have to pull this to release that inner piece in order to be able to pour the mixture into the bucket. So here we go, it's all softened up from the warm water, and I'm now going to pour all of this mixture into my bucket. Now I'd like to stress that cleanliness, hygiene is absolutely paramount when it comes to brewing, especially your home brews. This bucket I have sterilized using a purchased sterilizing agent. It comes in powder form. Use a few teaspoons of powder with some water. I use warm water, and you sterilize everything. You sterilize the bucket, the spoon you're going to use, your little air bubbler that goes in the top of the on the lid. Everything that comes into contact with this beer mixture, you need to make sure is properly sterilized. I'm going to try and squeeze as much of this out of here as I can. Now the next step is to add a kettle full of boiling water to this. Now what I do is I actually pour some of that hot water into this bag. So carefully pouring it through the spout. Now do be careful, because boiling water is going to scald you if you're not careful. But I pour some hot water into this bag, rinse it out to get everything out of the bag and into the bucket. So I'm going to do that now. I've got some hot water in here, and I'm giving it a good swirl around to get every drop of that very precious mixture, to dilute it and be able to pour it into my bucket. There we go. I'm going to add the remainder of the kettle full of boiling water to this now. It's all straightforward. It's not very difficult. As I said, the most important thing is cleanliness. Now I've got that poured in there, and with my sterilized spoon, I'm going to give that a good stir to make sure that all of that malt and barley mixture is all diluted into the water. It's always a good idea to keep stirring as well. A really good stir helps to aerate the mixture and mix it up thoroughly in order that every last drop of this precious liquid is accessible by the yeast when it starts to eat the sugars in the mixture and produce the alcohol, and of course the flavors within. The reaction is quite a chemical reaction, and the biological reaction is important for producing the final product. I'm adding a second kettle full of boiling water. You want to be adding about 5 litres approximately of hot or boiling water to the mixture and stirring it all together vigorously. And the aeration actually helps to speed up the start of the fermentation process. Having given everything a good mix, you now need to top your bucket up to the 23 litre mark, which is around about the 40 pints, with cold water. And I'm using the kettle for that purpose. This is just cold water from the tap. Fill it up until you come to the 23 litre mark. This bucket has got markings on the side telling me how much is in the bucket. It goes up to 23 litres or 40 pints, which is sufficient to fill one keg. And the final step at the moment is to add the yeast. Little sachet, 10 grams of yeast in this kit. And you just sprinkle it on the surface. It's very fine granules, as you can see. Sprinkle that on there. Spread it out as evenly as you can. Make sure you've got everything out of the packet. There we go. And all you need to do now is to put the lid on. And if you remember, I showed you before, there's a little dip there, a little sort of indent in the rim where you can actually get your finger in to remove the lid. And in the top of the lid, there's this little hole in which you insert your little airlock, which goes in here. I always put this bit right adjacent to there, so you know exactly where you can put your fingers to remove the lid. Otherwise, you're just going to be looking all the way around the edge until you find the hole. It's there every time. So I now have my mixture in the bucket, and I want to insert this little airlock in the top of the lid here. And if you look at this, you can see that it's about halfway full of water. It's a S-shaped bend here. It's got a little removable lid on the top. And what this does is allow the CO2, the carbon dioxide gases that are given off during fermentation. It allows them to bubble up through here and be emitted into the air. However, what it does do is stop air returning back into the bucket and bringing any contaminants in that could spoil your beer. You do not want to spoil this fermentation and spoil your beer. So this bubbler allows the CO2 to come out and stops the air from going in, and it just inserts in that little hole with the rubber seal in the top of the lid, like so. And that is now ready to put away, and I'm going to leave this to do its thing for about 4 or 5 days now. And I've got that little area underneath my kitchen worktop here. I'm just going to slide my bucket in there. I've actually got this area here in my kitchen, which is an ideal little storage area, but it's perfect for locating my bucket. So I can push that in the back of there. It's a fairly ambient temperature in here. It's not adjacent to a radiator. It's not adjacent to any vents or drafts. It's quite a still, quiet, darkened area. So that'll be fine in there. I'll leave it there for about 4 to 5 days and come back to that. And that's when we have the hops. Well, the beer's made. Just needs to ferment. Evil Dog, American style, double IPA. It is manufactured by the Bulldog Brewing Company. I need to mention them, I think, because I featured their kit. The Bulldog Brewing Company, a UK-based company, available from Amazon and other market outlets. Give it a go. I've made it before. It's really nice. We will be taking you through, I will be taking you through the next processes to make this and put it in the keg and so on. So here we go, we've started brewing. And finally, I did say I'd chosen a name for the pub. And I would like to thank everybody that made suggestions for the the pub in the corner of my kitchen. My previous home, I had the pub under the stairs. I've now got this cupboard I'm turning into my little pub, my home brew centre here. And I was saying I didn't have a clue what to call it. I had so many suggestions. One lady suggested the Cubby Hole Pub, which I particularly liked. The Kitchen Tap was another one. What was the other one? Broom Closet Brewery. Broom Closet Brewery. It's a bit of a mouthful. The Life's Good Pub and Grub, someone suggested. Oh my goodness, there was loads. The Hole in the Wall was another one. The Corner Pub. Oh gosh, it goes on and on. Bungalow, what was it? Bungalow Brew Box or something like that was one. Oh my goodness, there were so many, and I chuckled at some of them. But I have made a choice. I've worked something out which was prompted by some of the suggestions that you guys came up with. But I have now chosen to call this little pub the Pub in the Pantry. And welcome to my little pub in the corner of my kitchen, now known affectionately as the Pub in the Pantry, and I'll drink to that. So we've started brewing, we've got a pub. Yeah, exciting times. So from AJ's Den, the Life's Good, and the Pub in the Pantry, you take care of yourselves, right? Stay safe, be happy, look after each other. Come back and see us again, and I look forward to seeing you again here in The Life's Good. All the best. Oh, and enjoy Halloween as well. Bye-bye.